Here you go. Divorce papers, you poor, useless excuse of a wife. Saying that, Fred leaves the divorce papers on the table and exits. I, lying on the hospital bed, stare blankly at the divorce papers. I had suspected something for a while, but I never really thought he was actually cheating. And now, because he got her pregnant, is discarding me, who can't earn money while hospitalized? Mom! Startled by my beloved son's voice, I look up to see Ian and my father standing there. My father frowns as he sees what I'm holding. What are you going to do? That's already decided. Even though it's a bit forced, I get discharged early from the hospital and head to the bank where Fred works. My father, who drives me there, drops me off in front of the bank, telling me, "Do your best," and then drives away. As I enter the bank, Fred notices me and frowns. By chance, there are no other customers in front of him. I walk straight towards Fred. I'm canceling all the accounts of the employees. Excuse me? Let's see who dares to anger my father's daughter. While Fred turns pale, I smirk confidently. I am Rachel Miller. At 32, I'm a corporate executive and a mother of a 7-year-old son, Ian, and married to Fred. Fred and I met at a group dating event organized by a mutual friend during our college days. Initially, we weren't interested in each other and just exchanged contact information. Huh? Weren't you, Rachel at the group dating? Ah, Fred? The next year, I happened to use a bank where he works, and we reconnected. This led us to start communicating frequently, and eventually we began dating. After I became pregnant with Ian, we got married. Fred is known for his serious and meticulous work, which has always made him enviable among our friends. I too felt fortunate to be married to someone like him. Mom, why has this happened? Wait a moment, honey. Mom doesn't know much about it either. I'll check now. Okay. Ian, possibly taking after Fred, is diligent and curious. He constantly asks questions like, "What's this?" and "Why?" making every day a learning experience for me. Surprisingly, the person Ian admires isn't Fred, but my father. My mother passed away due to illness, and my father, despite being busy with work, raised me alone. Sorry, I really can't get along with your father. It's okay, but don't tell him that. He's actually quite sensitive about it. I wouldn't say that. Although my father is a kind man, he looks tough and somewhat scary. Fred finds my father's appearance intimidating. My father is aware of this and tries not to interfere too much. Thus, initially we lived a calm life. It was smooth sailing. However, that changed abruptly once we were married. Hey, where did you put my smartphone? Don't talk like that. Isn't it still charging? Fred Miller asks in a grumpy tone first thing in the morning. Actually, Fred's phone was still plugged into the charger where he had left it before going to sleep. Instead of apologizing or thanking me, he just clicks his tongue in irritation, which makes me even more frustrated. Fred has changed drastically since we got married. He often says, "I'm an elite banker. Thanks to me, we live a comfortable life." However, Fred doesn't contribute financially to our household. Despite using his salary solely for himself, he acts as if he's the one supporting our family. In reality, I am the one supporting our household. I pay for all the utilities and groceries. Hey, what's this new clothing? It's Ian's. He's outgrown his old clothes, so we needed new ones. Don't spend my money on luxuries. I paid for it with my salary. I don't even have access to your bank account. Yet, He complains whenever I take Ian out for a meal or buy him new clothes. It seems like any small luxury bothers him. On the other hand, my father doesn't hesitate to spend money for us. Isn't the apartment too cramped? That's why I bought that condo Fred wanted to live in. It allows me to be close without living together. With a smile, he bought the condo and gifted us the top floor. He also lives on a different floor in the same building, so he can help us whenever needed. Mom, can I go to Grandpa's? Sure, but don't stay too late just because it's the same building. Make sure to come back before it gets dark. Okay, it's only natural. Ian is more attached to his grandfather than to his father, Fred. Whenever he has time, Ian goes to visit my father. Where's Ian? He's with Dad. Interestingly, Fred never complains about my father. Also, he seems careful not to say too much around Ian, probably because he doesn't want Ian to tell my father. It seems Fred is only bold with me, probably because he knows I won't trouble my father about it. Well, I can simply ignore his complaints. That's what I had thought casually. Fred doesn't participate in childcare at all. I've got to go out, Angela called me. Again? And the one taking his time away from parenting is Angela Reed, Fred's childhood friend. I really dislike her. Fred and I are like siblings, so please don't misunderstand. She says this every time we meet, yet she insists on asserting that she knows Fred better than I do because of their past, which is really annoying. Even my mother-in-law favors Angela, which complicates things further. I don't understand why Fred didn't choose Angela. He should have married her instead. When called to my in-law's house, she makes sure I can hear her saying such things. My father-in-law scolds her for it, but she doesn't seem to care. Angela claims to be naturally naive. I'm naturally naive, so I tend to depend on Fred. I don't mean to make you uncomfortable. If she were younger, it might be somewhat excusable. However, she's 28 years old, and it's about time she acted her age. The reason she and Fred did not end up together is because of my father-in-law's presence. I don't want to call that woman my daughter-in-law, even out of obligation. If it really comes to that, I would rather divorce you. Angela is by no means a good person. She's known for playing around with men and lives a life without working, just a freeloader. She always begs Fred to buy her what she wants. My father-in-law detests Angela and strongly opposes the relationship. I never understood why my mother-in-law dotes on Angela so much. I'm sorry about my wife. You don't need to apologize, father-in-law. Fred is no better. He doesn't defend his wife when she's insulted. Instead, he's friendly with such a woman. True to my father-in-law's words, Fred never defends me against what my mother-in-law says. Sometimes he even laughs. Grandma, why would you say that? If Mom hadn't met Dad, I wouldn't have been born either. Am I an unwanted child to you? No, that's not true. Ian always stands up for me. He may not understand exactly how children are made, but he knows that it takes both parents to have a child. Since she also dotes on her brilliant grandson, she avoids saying such things in front of Ian. In that regard, Fred is just like her, which makes me think that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I have plans to drink with Angela tonight, so I'll be home late. Is that so? Gradually, I start to wonder if we really need Fred at all, and I begin preparing for a divorce. Ian seems to sense something too. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help. He said this, showing concern for me. Just then I was summoned by my mother-in-law. I really didn't want to go, but she would call non-stop, interfering with my work, so I had no choice but to go. My husband isn't here now, and there's no one to carry heavy things, so could you buy some rice? It seems my father-in-law was on a business trip. I thought to myself, why not order it online? But I knew arguing would only lead to more trouble. After work, carrying heavy items left me exhausted. While heading to the condo in a daze, a car running a red light hit me. It seems a car that ran a red light crashed into me. The car that hit you fled the scene, and we are currently investigating. That's what I was told while lying in a hospital bed. For now, I left Ian in the care of my father, and I would be hospitalized for a while. I had fractured my arm and couldn't do much work. Worrying about this, my father scolded me. Worry about yourself first. Ian and my father, along with my father-in-law who hurried back after hearing the news, frequently visited me in the hospital. But Fred and my mother-in-law did not visit at all. Well, that was expected. I'm coming in. What? I was surprised when Fred came to my hospital room. Sign this. He placed a divorce paper in front of me, already signed by him, with my mother-in-law's name as a witness. With that arm, you can't work. Now that you can't earn money, you're useless to me. What is that supposed to mean? Moreover, Angel is pregnant with my child. My thoughts froze. Angela is pregnant with Fred's child? I'm going to marry Angela, so sign this quickly. Saying that, Fred quickly turned his back on me, as if to say he had no further use for me. Here you go, divorce papers, you poor useless excuse of a wife. Saying that, Fred leaves the divorce papers on the table and exits. I am left staring blankly at the divorce papers from my hospital bed. I had my suspicions for a while, but to think he was actually cheating? And because he got her pregnant, he's discarding me, who can't earn money while hospitalized? Mom! Startled by my beloved son's voice, I look up to see Ian and my father standing there. My father frowns as he sees what I'm holding. What are you going to do? That's already decided. I answer while looking straight at my father, who nods in response. Now, let's make our move. I pushed to be discharged early and head to the bank where Fred works. My father, who drives me there, drops me off in front of the bank, telling me, do your best. And then he leaves. As I enter the bank, Fred notices me and frowns. By chance, there are no other customers in front of him. I walk straight towards Fred. I'm canceling all the accounts of the employees. What? Fred's expression reads, what are you talking about? I noticed several people looking at me annoyingly as I stood directly at the counter without taking a number. Oh, my apologies. Perhaps you didn't understand without the company name. What are you? I'm Rachel Cooper. Recently succeeded my father as the president. The company name is Cooper Corporation. What? Cooper Corporation is an IT company that my father started and now employs 1,900 people. It has grown rapidly in one generation and is quite famous in this area and in the industry. So Fred is visibly shocked. That's a lie, right? You're just trying to get back at me. If you think so, why don't you check? Fred begins checking something immediately. My father included my maiden name, Cooper, in the company name. While Fred is checking, I look around. Having mentioned the company name, the bystanders are now paying attention to our situation. No way, right? It seems he has confirmed it. Fred cautiously looks up at me. Are you really from that Cooper Corporation? Let's show him whose daughter he has angered. Contrary to the pale-faced Fred, I smirk confidently. That being said, please proceed with the cancellation quickly. Wait, hold on. If you cancel all these accounts at once... By the way, my father is quite angry about this whole situation. Pack your things and leave the condo. What? Why do I have to leave? Apparently, Fred has forgotten that the condo was bought by my father and it's in my father's name, while he wouldn't still be living there with Angela if it weren't. Forgot that condo was bought by my father, the former president. You haven't paid a cent, nor have you contributed to the living expenses. Instead, you've been supporting your childhood friend and mistress, Angela, with all of it. Actually, we've been living off my salary. Who do you think has been earning the living here? That's... And now, because she's pregnant, you expect me to hand over the condo to you and your mistress? How much more do you intend to disrespect me? I deliberately raise my voice so that those around can hear. Fred, of course, becomes flustered. Fred Miller is known to be a serious and professional person, yet at home, he doesn't contribute financially and is cheating with his childhood friend. The atmosphere around us grows colder. Is that true? What? The person speaking to me is the branch manager of the bank. He had been here for a while, listening to our conversation. It seems I need to speak with you in detail. I'm terribly sorry for the behavior of our bank employee. The branch manager then apologized. I was led to the back, where Fred, the branch manager, and I discussed the matter. I am deeply sorry for the inconvenience caused. The branch manager sighed deeply and apologized again. He even made Fred apologize, who looked displeased. I understand how you feel, ma'am. It's natural to not want to deposit your important money in a bank that employs such a person. If you decide to cancel, we will arrange it. I am no longer his wife. I will reconsider the cancellation under one condition. At those words, both lifted their faces in hope. It was a good deal for the branch manager, but the worst possible condition for Fred. If you dismiss Fred Miller here, I am willing to continue banking with you. What? That's only natural. I was planning to dismiss him anyway. It seemed the branch manager had already intended to fire him. Fred, initially confused, began to turn red. Just as Fred was about to speak, "Excuse me, Miss Cooper. A man claiming to be your father has arrived." Another bank employee approached us. I asked the branch manager to let him in, and Fred thwarted, closed his mouth in dissatisfaction. Wait, why am I involved? What? Mom. Sorry to keep you waiting. My father entered, holding my mother-in-law's arm firmly. She made a displeased face and glared sharply at me upon seeing me. This was your doing. What are you trying to do? I won't forgive you for treating your mother-in-law like this, even if she's just related by marriage. Silence. When my mother-in-law started to shout, my father, looking even more intimidating, shouted her down. This silenced not only her, but also Fred, who gasped. I know you've been harassing my daughter, calling her for menial tasks, making her carry heavy things, and not even thanking her. Instead, you've been saying that Angela, the mistress, is better so that my daughter could hear it, and her husband Fred just laughs, letting the child defend her. Father's voice echoed angrily through the bank. Fred tried to intervene but stopped under my father's stern look. Also, I know that Angela Reed was the one who hit Rachel. She's already been arrested by the police. No way Angela would do that. What are you surprised about? You're the mastermind. Father scolded her again. Meanwhile, Fred, seemingly unaware, just stood there, stunned. You and your son are the worst. Rachel, let's go. Yes. I followed my father out. The branch manager followed us, repeatedly apologizing. As I was considering continuing the contract with this branch manager, I could hear Fred and his mother arguing loudly behind us. It seems they were blaming each other. The voices could be heard outside, and nearby customers and other bank employees murmured. So what we overheard was true. Everything went according to plan. Yes, they reacted just as we expected, which helped. Following the plan, we left the bank laughing confidently. As a result, Fred was safely fired. Thanks to the thorough investigation by the police, Angela received a prison sentence. My mother-in-law was forced to divorce by my father-in-law after it was discovered that she had orchestrated a hit and run on me by inciting Angela, and she was also taken by the police. Mom, Grandpa, welcome back. Thank you for looking after Ian. Father-in-law. No worries, it seems you've resolved everything nicely. After cornering Fred and others at the bank, I went to pick up Ian, who had been in the care of my father-in-law. He had helped a lot this time. He found evidence of my mother-in-law inciting Angela and a note detailing the plan to eliminate me, which he handed over to the police. When I expressed my gratitude, he simply smiled and said, "You did well." Since then, my days have become busier than ever. I was already busy as a board member and next in line for the presidency, but now I carry the greater responsibility of being the president. Meanwhile, my father started a new company. I've always wanted to start a new company. He gleefully pushed the presidency onto me as a way to get back at Fred. Therefore, both my father and I became busy, and my father-in-law looked after Ian. It turns out that his business trip, forced by my mother-in-law's affair with his boss, led him to early retirement and moving into our apartment complex. I'm currently studying remote work. I plan to eventually give him a role at the new company. I'm sending experts to train him because he seems very capable, and I like him to flourish in our new company. The fathers seemed to get along well now, often visiting each other's apartment to share drinks and conversations. On the other hand, Fred, ousted and isolated, returned to his empty family home. Unable to secure a job at any bank and widely known through the rumors spread by my father and me, he was left unable to find any employment and resorted to paying me compensation through debts. Now he struggles daily, working tirelessly in menial jobs, and although he has approached us pleading, we've collectively ignored him. Once rumored to become a branch manager, he has indeed fallen far. When I grow up, I want to be like Grandpa. This incident made Ian respect my father even more, seeing him as a hero who rescued us from the malicious deeds of Fred and my mother-in-law. Then, would you like to take over Grandpa's legacy someday? Yes. My father was thrilled by Ian's commitment. Not to be outdone by my father, I was determined to push even harder. After a while, both my company and my father's company stabilized. Mom, welcome back. You worked hard. Exhausted, I returned home to find my father-in-law had prepared dinner. I helped you today. Is that so? Well done, Ian. I'm looking forward to dinner. As I praised a smiling Ian, my father arrived late. The four of us then sat down at the dinner table, enjoying a meal and laughing together. In stark contrast to us, Fred's life had fallen apart. He piled up debts upon debts and was ultimately taken care of by loan sharks. Rumor has it that he ended up on a boat somewhere. Fred's family home was sold to pay off his debts, and my mother-in-law, having lost her home, was spotted living under a bridge. By the way, I received an apology letter from Angela's parents. They are good people. Please read it. If you say so, Father. According to the letter from Angela's parents, she had given birth in prison. They took in the child, ensuring Angela would not rely on them after her release by moving far away. The letter included a profound apology to me. Angela's parents seemed genuinely good people, and I deeply hoped the child would grow to resemble them, not the parents. However, Angela now had no place to return to. Alone, I hoped she would come to terms with her actions. Years later, we grew without the torment of Fred's presence. Did we even have a father? Seemed to be the general sentiment. Ian seemed to remember, but he dismissed any connection as irrelevant. We all did the same, effectively erasing his existence from our lives. I'm definitely going to take over Grandpa's company. If it's what you've decided, I won't object. Ian chose to take over my father's company, a toy company. Starting as an ordinary employee, Ian was soon valued for his continuous flow of ideas. With this, maybe it's time to hand over the company to Ian soon. Laughing, my father contemplated retiring to the countryside once he handed over the company to Ian. I was also training a successor, teaching him vigorously. Once he was ready, I too considered early retirement to pursue new endeavors. With these thoughts, I continued my busy day as president.